When I started this journey with my foldable bike last year, I didn't know when it would end and how far I would go. During the summer, I could cycle across Tunisia, Italy, Slovenia, Croatia and Bosnia. But then things took a turn for the worse. The number of COVID cases started to increase, and new emergency measures were announced, one after the other.
Patienten innerhalb weniger Wochen auf einen neuen Höchststand steigen.
So, I decided to suspend my trip. I cycled back to Croatia where, after testing negative, I got a lift to Germany just one day before the new lockdown. Thanks to the kindness and hospitality of family and friends, and always after taking all necessary precautions, I spent the last months between Saarland, Hamburg and Berlin. Even though my plans to cycle long distances are on hold for now, I didn't miss a chance whenever it was allowed for some day trips around these places. Normally, I would tell you a story from the road or about places I visited with my bike. But this time, I want to talk about a place where we've all been for the best part of the last months. Our homes. When cycling in Berlin, I soon realized that housing is a concern for many citizens in the German capital. I learned that less than 1 in 5 people here own the place they live in. 83% of Berliners, like my hosts, rent their apartments. Home ownership is lower than in any other big German city, let alone the national average. On top of that, housing prices have been spiraling over the last few years. In cities like Berlin, they increased by 62% on average since 2015, compared to 43% for the rest of Germany and 29% for the EU. At the same time, rents in Berlin have doubled in the last 10 years, outstripping average wages. While for some this is simply a question of demand and offer, for others, housing is a basic human right. The lack of affordable places to live is a big problem for many tenants who struggle to make ends meet, especially during the pandemic. In 2019, the city of Berlin passed a law to freeze rents for a period of 5 years, but the law was recently struck down by Germany's Constitutional Court. That is why a group of residents have decided to take matters in their hands in an attempt to end speculation in the housing market once and for all.
My name is Henrik, and I'm active in this campaign Deutsche Wohnen Voreignen. Tenants were very unhappy with how the whole housing market developed, and especially in Berlin, it's a huge crisis. And they live in fear, and living in fear, in constant fear of you don't know of the future, that you don't know what's coming up. Can I pay the rent in the future? What's going on? And it's a huge problem for the people. Several houses being sold to either big housing companies or they don't even know who bought the house. If you only want to make profit with rents, the only goal is that you try to make the rents higher. You want to get new tenants if the old ones can't pay. So your goal must be to get new tenants who can pay it. That means there is a fast change of the social surrounding. People being evicted as well, in the most radical case. But usually it's they've been driven away because the rent is getting higher and higher. So you can gain more profit profit on the stock market. And so the people just can't pay and they have to leave. And if we don't do anything against it, the future will be that areas like Neukölln will be totally changed. There is no cheap housing areas. There are no cheap housing areas anymore, no cheap flats, no cheap rent anymore. So people just basically can't afford it anymore. And we as a campaign want to say stop. Well, our overall objective is to collect 175,000 signatures in total from Berlin citizens. So we can make a referendum, basically, and it should take place in September at the same day as the elections are. And this is our goal. So people in Berlin can decide. Everybody here living here in Berlin has the chance to decide if the big housing companies should be expropriated or not. The big housing companies who own more than 3,000 flats shall be expropriated, and it shall go back to the people of Berlin and to the city of Berlin. They even get compensated. But this is the overall plan, to take the flats. I think 240,000 flats. Nearly 600,000 people are affected by this. Take them back to the public.
Danke.
Tschüss.
Sollen wir die Dinger
If we would be successful, the whole housing market will change. I think it's at least German-wide, nationwide struggle, but maybe you can even say a European struggle.
After I leave Hendrik and the other campaigners in their struggle to get enough signatures to hold a referendum in September, I come across this line in the middle of the road. Here is where the Berlin Wall once divided the city and the rest of Europe into two separate and isolated worlds. The wall was built exactly 60 years ago, and was torn down 32 years ago. A lot has changed here since then, except perhaps for Berliners' determination to stand up for their rights.
€100 kostet das Saxophon. $100.
Oh, wow.
This saxophone.
Wow, really?
$100. Yeah.
It's a good one. But you can pay as much money as you want. The talent, that is priceless.